Hi everyone, the Lone Wolf here. Welcome back to EVE Talk, your weekly look at the market in EVE Online. I hope everyone saw the O7 show just a few days ago. CCP Nerfbat came to the scene and well, swung quite hard, hit a few times, hit what we're doing a few times as well, especially the Skynet tactic. We were actually using that in the wormhole to supplement our Poco bashing DPS. So with that being gone in the next release, that's actually going to be a pretty big hit. But yeah, make sure to check out the website and the dev blogs. You actually still have a good chance to give all your feedback and maybe make some changes to the decisions there if you really can come up with a very good reason to do so, or a very elegant solution. They are also looking for feedback on the Ishtar. So yeah, go and check that out and we'll see what comes of it. But quite a lot of nerfs have been announced in the O7 show. And God, I hope that's not for this street, but let's start. We are here for the market, of course, and we will start off with plex, which have gone down quite a little bit, and that's 115. Actually, they went down quite a little bit just a few moments ago, and now they're already back up to 799. So let's have a quick look at the 1 month chart right here. You can see that there is a bit of trailing off here at the tail end, which is, I think, good news. Breaking of 800 million is also good news, but it's a little bit too early to say if plex are going to sustain a downtrend. What I do like here is that the 5-day moving average is taking more and more distance from the 20-day moving average. So if this has some momentum, this could mean that plex are going to pull back a little bit. Otherwise, if this is really short-lived, we'll see this go back up by next week. Let's have a quick look at supply demand here. 10, 1, 2, a lot of really recent orders, but of course with plex it's always very difficult to actually gauge what the supply and demand numbers are from what's on the market, because of how huge the volume of plex is every day. What I do find pretty interesting is that we're talking 799 for the sellers, 785 for the buyers. That's a 15 million margin. That's actually a little bit bigger than the normal margin that I've seen for plex. And so this could indicate that there is some downward momentum, I think, and so does the chart. But to be honest, we've seen that before right here at the start of the month, and then it did pull back again above 800 million towards 810. Now a slow pullback here again, and yeah, a slight downward movement here at the very end for plex. So good news, you can actually buy a few of them below 800 million. Will this be a sustained movement? It's very hard to say, and we'll have to wait for next week to see what's happening with plex at the moment. Moving on to some minerals, 315. Let's check all of that out. First of all, titanium here on the 1 month chart. You can see they actually came back a little bit from the pull back to 586, which was not insignificant, breaking 6 ISK. But it's not managing to get back on top of 6 ISK, so it does look like the 5-day moving average and the 20-day moving average want to meet each other at around 590, a bit above that. Maybe 595 could still be in the cards, but I'm really happy to see that titanium did manage to make up a little bit of lost ground here, and does indicate that we are potentially in that stable mineral market that I was predicting. Quick look at supply demand here. Demand 1.1 billion, not bad, but here we've got 500 million, 350 million, 500 million here again, and then here another 990 million and 357. So I would still give a slight edge to the demand, which is good, I think, for managing to sustain a price. So it looks decently stable in my book so far, and we'll have to see next week if they actually do end up meeting at around the 595, 592 price mark here, but I think it's in the cards. Next up, pyrite taking off on the 1 month chart. Now last week, of course, we were already at like a 12.3, so now it's at 12.4, so that's not that big of a movement anymore. Still for the 1 month, starting at 12.15, ending at 12.40. A little bit of an uptrend for pyrite. Let's have a look at supply demand here. 300 million, 200 million, 400 million, 120, 100 and 600. So it's still okay. Again, slight edge to to the demand side. Let's have a look if the gap is going to be closing. Well, it does look like 1240 is going to be the ceiling here. Pyrite is not breaking out of that, and so I guess that something like 1235 is in the cards for next week. And a bit of slowing down here of the price in Pyrite. I think it's going to happen with, well, a good opportunity to sell Pyrite a little bit higher than what you've been able to do all month. So looking pretty good, but I do think this is going to slow down or stop in the upcoming days. Next up, Mexalon. That looks nicely stable, starting at 61, ending at 60.6 ISK. That's hardly any movement at all. Supply demand here, 46 million, really the biggest order that jumps out here. For the sellers, 57 million, 19 and 33 or 34 million here. So again, slight edge for the buyers, and it's looking good for a stable mineral market from here on out. Next up, Isogen. Starting the month at 130, ending at 136. That's not that big a movement. A little bit of a move up, but I think this is again going to stall. Let's have a look at supply demand here. Yeah, look at that, 50 million of them coming in. 133.76, which is right here on the chart. It's not even that big. This might actually be a little bit of cause a little bit of a pullback on Isogen right here. Then 13 million and 13 million. So for Isogen, I have to give the edge to supply because of that one big order. Of course, we are on a bit of a double spike, but it's extremely small, the price difference between the top here and then the start of the spikes. So yeah, this will probably end right now, and in the upcoming days, Isogen is probably going back towards 130, I think. And so yeah, mineral market, at least the HiSec one, pretty damn stable. There are a few differences, of course, some market forces do play, but overall well supplied. There is enough demand to sustain current prices, so it's all looking pretty decent, I think, for HiSec miners. Moving on then to Noxium, what I'm calling the in-between one. Maybe the 6-month chart is a bit better right here. Yeah, managing to come back to 680. It did pull back here a bit, but it's already back up here again, so that's pretty nice. I do think that Noxium is in for managing to sustain a price above 660 for now, but probably not a breakout above 700 or anything like that just yet. Have a quick look at supply demand here. 1.7 million, 3.5 million here, 3.9 million, 2 million. Again, slight edge for the demand side, but supply is quite okay, and you can see that there was like a little bit of a stop to the upward movement right here last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago, something like that. So here we are talking market forces, but no longer are we really in breakout territory. Noxium made back the ground it lost, a bottom at 520 or pretty close to that, back up to 680 where we were 6 months ago. So I think that that's actually very good news for people that decide to invest in Noxium, of course, or that mine for Noxium. Now, Megasite and Zydrine, we know that that's quite a different story. I should probably go for the 1-month chart because we're really looking for a sign that these minerals are going to come back, but it's just not showing up right now. Look at that, Megasite, 720, yeah, 720 on the chart, very low. And again, unfortunately, the 5-day moving average dipping below the 20-day moving average. It tried right here to be stable, to find the bottom at 725, but it's going even lower. Although the data points right here, sellers are at 726, 727, something like that. So there is some hesitation to go even lower, but there is really no sign that Megasite is going to go up anytime soon here. So unfortunately, still at bottom prices. Here is the Zydrine 1-month chart again. It's trying to find this bottom, it's trying to stay above 400 ISK, but there is no sign that this is going up. So 5-day moving average still below 20-day moving average. Current prices for Zydrine, yep, 409 for the sellers, below 410, that's extremely low. 401.53 for the buyers, so just above 400 for the buyers. That is still a barrier that's not broken yet, but in my read, considering where they come from, this is the 1-year chart for Zydrine, coming from 700 and now flirting with 400. That's almost a halving of the price in 1 year. yeah, it could just completely break. You know, I think it could go either way. If the bottom falls out of this, if they actually break 400, look out below for something like Zydrine. On the other hand, of course, if for some reason a big war maybe in nullsec, supply does get squeezed, we could see a comeback for these minerals. But for now, yeah, bottom prices and no outlook that that this is going to change anytime soon for Zydrine and for Megasite. Let's move on to some Tech 1 chips then. 1040, yeah, sounds pretty good. Let's have a quick look here at the Caracal. This is the 1 month chart. Caracal took off last week. We did see that, but you can also see that it is normalizing a little bit already. 11.3 million for the sellers. You can see that supply is coming in here. 26, 10, 34, 14, 35. The buyers 10.9 million. So margin not that big. There seems to be quite a bit of demand for Caracals. That is okay with paying 11 million though. That's right here on the chart, so back into normal territory for the Caracal. So yeah, this is going to pull back a little bit. You could say, well, on the 6 month chart here, this looks like nice spiky behavior. Should I consider trading or investing in Caracals? Honestly, I don't think so. We're talking 11 to 12 million. We're only talking a 1 million margin here with huge volumes. So if you really want to make some big profits, you need to play very big in the Caracal market that is extremely well supplied as well, able to the industry side of Tech 1 chips is able to respond very quickly to price spikes, and so this is why they're very short-lived and pretty narrow in range, in my opinion. So I would not risk it. I would just perhaps wait for good opportunities to buy a couple of the chips that I like to use personally. I don't see this as an investment opportunity. Here's the Dominics, also working on a little bit of a spike. Let's see if supply has responded. 12, 5, 6. Yeah, the entire front page is pretty recent though, so there is some competition trying to sell. Dominics is at 206 million. I do think that this is an opportunity to bring a few to the market, but this will probably stop. You can see that it already is flattening out here on the chart. We're currently looking at sellers at 206, buyers at 196. That's a bit of a bigger margin, you know, 10 million, 5%, not that insignificant. And I do think that supply will come in for Dominics, and that this will flatten out and then drop back down towards a more normal price of like 195, I think, is more normal for a Dominics. Next up, the Drake chart right here. On the 6 month chart, you can see pretty stable at 47 million, 48 million is where it normally stayed. And if I now go for the 1 month chart, well, taking off just a little bit right here. Let's have a look at prices. 54 million for a Drake. Yeah, that's definitely quite a bit higher. 47 million for the buyers. Quite a bit of a supply here though, ready to come in here. 26 of them at 55 million. So I guess maybe someone came in and bought the Drake fleet, and so it's gonna be just a little bit of time needed for Drake supply to come back in. But honestly, by next week, I think we'll see most of these back in normal ranges. Here's the Myrmidon. As you can see, a few weeks ago we had a nice little spike. Here is the counter movement, and did we see big supply? Yeah, 32, 28, 12. Still recent orders of very big numbers, and this is causing a bit of a counter response. If I go for the 6 month chart, you can see right here dipping well below the 20-day moving average, pulling that one down, going below the 51 million mark, which probably I would say 50 to 51 normal price for a Myrmidon. So this is that market response right there, showing up in the Myrmidon. I'm expecting something similar for the Dominics in 1 or 2 weeks. Dominics, it's a big ship. It takes some effort to bring those to the market, so that could be a bit slower. For the Drake, I'm expecting this by next week, and for the Caracal, we can see it happening right now. Here's the Rupture chart. That has really been the very stable cruiser that I tend to check right here, so still sitting right at the 10.5 to 11 million mark. It is right there, and it's not going anywhere soon. Supply is here, 36, 25, 20, 31. So is demand though, 8, 19 and 20. Those are pretty big numbers to buy right away. So Ruptures seem to be doing quite well and remaining quite stable. Here's the Talos chart. Again, just like with the Myrmidon, we can see a counter movement right here. Nice little spike up to 80 million, which is maybe not bad, but you can see that it is very short-lived, and that because of really big supply, we went down in price quite a bit, dropping to 70, and now we're going to go back towards like 72, 74, a bit of a more normal price for a Talos. Supply is starting to dry up, so this is going to be moving back up, but well, actually already back up towards like 80 million for a little bit, but I actually think that the supply side can be filled decently fast for the Talos, and that this will actually break off a little bit sooner, and that the chart will never reach the 80 million. It's actually going to go back to a more normal price. 72, 74, I think is where we'll see the Talos next week. But you can see a price opportunity showed up at 80 million. People jumped on it, were ready for it. Industry can fill those gaps, and then the counter movement was actually pulling it back towards 70 million quite steeply. And so now it needs a little bit of time, but I actually think we'll stay in normal ranges for the Taloses for next week. Next up, take 2. Let's see if we get some trade opportunities that we can find. 16, 15 sounds good for that. Here's the Basilisk spike has ended, dropping below 180 on the chart. So that's probably going to be too late to sell, too early to buy. 173 to 180 for the sellers. Yeah, just a little bit too early, honestly. You can pick them up below or just at 170 as well. So I would wait for the Basilisk, but again, this is a 6-month chart showing a nice double spike here up to 210 million. It does show that there is potential in these Tech 2 ships. Here is the Guardian. Obviously, that's a lovely spike we would like to see once again, from 135 to 130. 30 million on a single ship. That's not bad. Here, unfortunately, at the moment, yeah, looking at 145, something like that. 148 for the sellers, 137.5 for the buyers. That's not that bad, but honestly, 135 is really the opportunity you're looking for. So Guardian, nope, I would not go there just yet. Here's the Hound though, that's more interesting. Buyers well below 18 million, sellers below 18 million. Still decent supply, but you have to try to invest a little bit and take some risks, of course, if you want to make some money on the spike that have showed up at 23 million, 22 million, 21 million here before. We're looking at Hounds close to 17 million, 17.5. I think you can easily pick those up on buy orders. So maybe there's probably an opportunity to buy some cheap Hounds at the moment. Here's the Manticore. A nice little spike up to 24 million here again. Trigger was 22, so I've always been a bit hesitant because we know that there is potential to go below 21, close to 20 on something like the Manticore, but yeah, showing again that it goes to 24, 25, 24, 24 here again with the trigger at 22, so that's pretty interesting. Buyers 22.5, so a little bit too late. You may be able to sell some Manticores if you manage to snatch them up cheaply on one of these low points right here. But that seems to be the pattern for the Manticore. Bottom at 22, trigger to go up, and then spikes of 2 to 3 million, pretty much 10%. So there is some opportunity here as well, but I find it very risky to buy or to say that you should buy a stealth bomber, a covered ops frigate above 20 million. I think the opportunities, the real opportunities, are below 20 million, honestly. Here's the Nemesis then. Yeah, look at that. A perfect example. Dipping below 20 million and now taking off already towards 22 million. Let's have a quick look at sellers. Yeah, exactly, 22 million. Buyers still below 20 million. So you're coming close to a sell opportunity right here for the Nemesis, but the trigger was below 20 million, which is what I prefer for covered ops frigates. Here's the Nighthawk, too stable. Those command ships, I'm not looking at them too much anymore at the moment. The Oneros, that's pretty good. Look at that. Nice double spike right here with a dip towards 140, pretty low, and then working its way up to 180. That's a 40 million difference right here with a jump up to 165 and then up to 180. So that's not bad. Dipping here again, another spike. So let's have a quick look at 152 for the buyers, 159 for the sellers. 152 buyers, yeah, maybe if you can pick some up for really cheap buyers close to the current prices right here. It means that you have to come into competition with other people, of course, if you want to snag one up close to 152. But yeah, maybe there is an opportunity to buy a few Onerosos right here. Here's the purifier charts. Nice, nice spiky behavior right now. Buyers at 18.3, sellers 19 million. So the sell opportunity above 20 is obviously gone. Should we wait to buy 18.3? Maybe buy orders potentially. You could get some purifiers and try to sell for 20 to 21 million on some of the spikes that have materialized. And here is the scimitar then. Ooh, that's nice. Buyers 137. I would say scimitars potentially a good buy opportunity right here. Look at that lovely double spike at 175. If you could pick some up below 140 and then have a repeat of one of these spikes right there, that would be pretty good. One note though, scimitar has been pretty stable since January 1st, so it's a bit of a risk, but it's nice to see that it actually decided to go away from its normal price of 150 at the low point. So I do think that this is an opportunity to buy some scimitars, honestly. And then finally, for the extra product, 21 minutes for that. Let's check out the Ishtar. Of course, hit pretty well, I would say fairly by CCP nerf bat, losing some sentry drone damage. So I do think it's good to check out if there's a response by the market. Advanced cruisers, heavy assault cruiser, Galente, Ishtar, Ishtar online. I guess that the announcement that there was probably going to be an Ishtar nerf announced at the 07 show already caused the price to drop from a pretty nice high of 190 million. We're currently looking at 172 for the sellers, 165 for the buyers. 165, that's pretty low on the chart. Look at that right here. So it's not a complete destruction of the Ishtar just yet. The nerf was also pretty tame and reasonable. I guess if the problem that has been noticed is how much damage and how easily they can just drop a full flight of sentry drones and then do other utility stuff, still maintain movement and escape capabilities, that this is still an okay nerf, and thus the Ishtar doesn't completely lose out on popularity just yet. So it's going to be interesting to see if it actually drops way below here. So the movement, unfortunately, I'm a bit late on that. So it's not like the 07 show was really the trigger, the very first time that we had an idea, yeah, there's going to be an Ishtar nerf coming. There were some hints dropped before that. This is why we've seen this this counter movement, this dropping of the price of Ishtars from, well, almost 195 since, well, where would I put that, January 20th, January 20th, yeah, January 15, January 20, something like that is really where they already decided to go down, and expect, I guess, an Ishtar nerf. But overall, still pretty high prices for an Ishtar, you know, 172 if you want to pick one up right away. That's still a decent chunk of money. So it's not like the Ishtar has been completely obliterated by CCP nerf bat either. Did I do the Tech 3 market? Actually, I didn't do the Tech 3 market. So that's going to be a bit of a switch. 21 is actually the Ishtar, and then 23, 25 is going to be the Tech 3 market, which actually also got in the crosshairs of CCP nerf bat. So the Confessor and the Zvipool, we know what to expect right here. It's just too early to really say that market force can have an impact here. Supply is coming in, people are buying them at around 41 million, 49 million, almost 50 for the Confessor right here. Let's check out the Legion dropping in price. Maybe the 1 month chart could be interesting. It's a little bit of a breaking of how quickly the Legion is going down. So we're currently looking at 116.8 for the sellers, 161 for the buyers. Oversupply, yeah, 617, 6 here again, 411. Oversupply is pretty obvious right there. But it's a bit faster, so this could be the 07 show's doing. Here's the Loki again going down. This is due to oversupply though, 18, 53, 40, 12, 13, stuff like that. 98 and 19, not bad. Some people actually want to buy some Lokis. They're pretty recent as well, so they're actually seeing this a bit as an opportunity. But yeah, it's pretty low on the chart though. 147 is quite ambitious to try and pick them up right now. Next up is the Proteus. Here again, yeah, going down, definitely staying below the 20-day moving average. Is the oversupply here 16, 12, 9? Yeah, it's there, not by that big a margin, but it is there definitely. And then finally the Tengu. Oh, look at that, actually tried to break out above 20-day moving average, but unfortunately meeting again and starting to go down. Are we seeing oversupply? Yeah, there you go. 10, 19, 11, 10. That's not really the numbers we're seeing on the buy order sides. So luckily, to me, it seems like for the Tech Trees and the Ishtar so far, the 07 announcements have not really had that big of an impact. All of this is still decently in line with what we were seeing before all of these nerfs were announced. So I guess it just hits so many targets that the market doesn't really know if there's any really one ship or one item just yet that needs to be burned or sold off right away, or just purchased or anything like that. I've not seen that materialize just yet. It's all decently careful when it comes to the nerfs, I think, and overall, yeah, we're still looking at the market forces dictating what's happening, in my opinion. So anyways, there you go, guys. That's it for this Eve talk. A little bit of a switch up in how I do the final part right there, but that's actually my miss. I completely forgot about the Tech Tree market because of my notes. They were not completely in order. Anyways, thank you very much for sticking with me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.